Right, so question 2b now. This is probably the one that most people have struggled with. It seems, with it being only 4 marks, it's the last question on the Western Front bit of the paper before you start the full medicine bit. It seems like it's going to be easy because it's just 4 marks. It's actually supposed to be the hardest part of the paper. It's the bit where you actually start thinking like a historian. You go past sort of GCSE. I would say this is more bridging towards sort of A-level, thinking about questions you would ask if you were studying this, if you were researching this as a real historian. Let's say if you were doing A-level and you're doing your coursework and you're asking questions, or if you're at degree level and you're asking questions for your dissertation, like it's that sort of idea, like what would I research? And you're going to use something in the source to prompt you. Like, what are you going to think about? So, first job, as usual, read the question. How could you follow up source A to find out more about the severity of injuries and wounds experienced on the Western Front? Severity just means how severe is it? How bad is it? So if I just write the word bad there. Bad. So how bad is it? That's what we're sort of thinking about now. Now, each of these, there's 4, so just put a little dot next to them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 sections to this. If you don't do the first section correctly, it doesn't unlock the next one. Same for the third one. If you do the third one wrong, it doesn't unlock the last one. So basically, I think you could lose a lot of marks on here when it could be quite a simple question. So you've got to get the structure right. That's what we're looking for. The structure needs to be right. So go back to the question now. We're looking for, finding out more about how bad the injuries were. So let's read the source again. Your source B, for the practice one, is a bit easier, I would say, to look for how bad injuries are. But this one's a bit trickier. Let's have a read. The gangrene found amongst our wounded soldiers is directly due to infection introduced at the time of wound, and it's likely to occur if muddy clothing has been carried by the projectile or if earth has been carried by the explosion. To be honest, it doesn't tell us anything about how bad it is. So I can pick anything. I'm going to pick the gangrene. I'm going to pick this bit. I'm not going to write the whole lot. So, especially as I can't really write on here. Perhaps if I do that instead, yeah, that's better. So I'm going to put the bit about the gangrene. So I'm going to put the gangrene directly, what does it say? Directly due to infection at the time of the wound. So if you notice, I'm literally just, I'm copying the words, and that's what you have to do. If it's a picture, you have to do the same thing. You have to take details, specific details from the source. A few of you in your assessment took from the wrong source, but also some of you are talking about the caption. You can't do that. It has to be within the written bit or within the picture itself. So, question I'm going to ask, remember it's got to be about how bad the wounds were. So I might say, did all gas gangrene injuries cause death? Because it doesn't tell me that. It doesn't actually tell me anything about that. It doesn't tell me how bad the injury was. Did it cause death? Did it just, could it be patched up? It doesn't say anything about that. So that's why I'm asking more. I want to find out more. So you get to this bit now. What type of source could I use? We're looking for here something really specific that actually would be helpful. So I've got to think to myself, how am I going to find out if gas gangrene caused death? Well, what could I look at? I need some sort of record. Where would I find that record? Well, it's not going to be in England. It's going to be on the Western Front. There's going to be some sort of record somewhere. I can't just say hospital records because I know it has to be more specific than that. So I'm going to say, thinking about where gas gangrene might be treated, probably something like the dressing station, or maybe further on, maybe like the casualty clearing station. So I'm going to go for the casualty clearing station. I might go for that if it's a bit more severe. So I'm going to say casualty clearing station records from, what date is the source? 1914, so I'm going to do the same from 1914. Now, if I'd left it at casualty clearing station records, it wouldn't have got the mark. It has to be specific, so you're either saying the record of the fanny, if you're talking about ambulances, an RAMC from a dressing station in whatever date, or a place. You could say a place, that would be nice. You could say some, if for example, like in your assessment, it mentioned the Battle of Arras, you could say a casualty clearing station from the Battle of Arras from 1917. That would be great, really specific. So now I'm on my last bit so far. I've got 3 out of 4. Well done. I'm looking now to say, well, how would that help me? How would the records from a casualty clearing station tell me about whether it caused death or not? Well, I would. This is where you use a bit of your common sense and a bit of kind of own knowledge, but not much. I would just say I would find out how many men were or just put died from gas gangrene. I would expect this number, change that a little bit. I would find out how many men died of gas gangrene from gas gangrene, and be able to see if this was something severe or if men recovered. That's the idea behind it, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to get at. And as you saw there, I second guessed myself. I was thinking, that doesn't sound quite right. You want to be doing the same, really. You want to be thinking, does that sound right? I can cross that out. Don't just leave it blank. Have a go, because at the end of the day, it's 4 marks. You know, that 4 marks could be between you and the next grade. I know that sounds silly, but it can be as close as that. Or even last year's results, people were really kicking themselves because they knew they'd left a question out that they could have attempted, which would have given them 2 extra marks that would have got them up a grade. So have a go at source B. Have a go at the practice one, fill that in, and then have a little go at the proper one. That's all you work for this week. Next week it'll be a bit on sort of little 4 marks, knowledge based. So good luck. Post any questions if you need to, and hopefully speak to you soon.